Wilmington's Chase Center on the riverfront hosted an event devoted to Delaware's entrepreneurial spirit. Governor Jack Markell and the state's Economic Development Office held a day-long entrepreneurial business conference aimed at giving insight and inspiration to small business owners and to those with big ideas. Noted fashion designer Marc Ecko was the keynote speaker at the conference. In 1993, he started Ecko Unlimited in his parents' New Jersey basement. Today, Marc Ecko Enterprises encompasses over 25 businesses and operates over 100 retail locations throughout the world, with revenues topping $1 billion. The designer and businessman sat down with WITN for an exclusive interview that focused on entrepreneurs and education.
I am here at this entrepreneurial summit that the governor's office supports here in Delaware. And one of my business associates is Velder Potter Jones, and she had reached out to me that there was this opportunity to speak, and I thought it was a good vibe and like the spirit of what the room was going to be about, around celebrating, some folks that are really trying to get things going, stir up the ecosystem, and create some independence through business and entrepreneurship. I thought it was a great environment to be in, and I took the opportunity to be here.
Well, one of the things that, in just reading about the artists and instigators, it shows you that entrepreneurship can be used as a teaching device. Can you just talk about the philosophy a little bit?
Yeah. I think, first of all, I think the word entrepreneurship is like a word that's overused, kind of like the word love is with your first girlfriend or boyfriend, right? It's like we don't exactly know what the hell we mean when we say it, and we use it, and it's kind of become a buzzword for something that looks almost academic. And I view entrepreneurship as a sport. It is a lens to learn through. I think that, for instance, the arts, yield great entrepreneurship, great problem solving. And I think entrepreneurship is, it has to be a blend of both right brain and left brain, and emotional, not just, X's and O's or, red and black. There's other facets that have to be motivating you. And for me, when I view how Western culture has kind of taught and communicated entrepreneurship, there's a bunch of fallacies that we celebrate. If it's the notion that you become an entrepreneur by getting a degree, I'm not entirely a believer of that. I think that there's better versions, better answers, better mechanisms to measure, often that aren't just Carnegie units or a piece of paper. There's ways to do it better. And I think a part of the storytelling has to be not only the thrill of victory, but the agony of defeat. And that if at the end you realize that your day is made up of W's and L's, and hopefully you just netted out more W's than L's. But it's a bunch of little losses, a bunch of little wins. Where are you at? What's your record? Like, hopefully at the end of the day you got more W's, and that's what good entrepreneurship's about. And like in trying to, we're trying to express a new paradigm and create a platform that's going to hopefully, talk about this stuff without having to say many words at all. That's the goal.
So is it safe to say that an entrepreneur or entrepreneurship is more than just about business and knowledge? It's more about experience?
I think I think we're all inherently entrepreneurs. I mean, if me and you got thrown out onto some deserted island and we had no food, the industrious nature and our capacity to problem solve, our entrepreneurial spirit would reveal itself. I think if you hunt, if you gather, both, not literally but figuratively, you're an entrepreneur. I think we've separated that. We've tried to create a distinction between, we've romanticized it to say that like an entrepreneur is a guy who wears a suit and a tie, or a woman who wears like a suit dress. I don't believe that that's necessarily the case. I think it's a mechanism to problem solve through. It is the pursuit of independence. It is the pursuit of self-sufficiency, sustainability. It is the pursuit of your passion. It's extreme, and it's not exotic, and it's certainly not academic.
Real quick, just the last one. America seems to have been built on these ideas of big ideas and big corporations, and it's, for a couple hundred years now, it's sort of changed. How has that change affected the way we operate now with all the smaller businesses and entrepreneurs rather than the car companies and the trains and how does America function now with a small business idea?
Well, I think what we may view today as small might in fact be industry tomorrow. Like I think that it is the natural tendency. Again, it goes back to that analogy of like being on a deserted island. I think it's kind of human condition, certainly in America, to want to do good for oneself and for those around them. I think for about 20 years we celebrated kind of the classic A-type personality who is really doing good for themselves. And like we made that like the beacon of what success should look like. I think today, culturally, we're at a time where people are trying to think about the cause and effect, like the CO2 emission of their work, right? Not literally the carbon dioxide emission, but like what's the byproduct that they're making besides money, right? Because for everything that you make, there's something that you waste, right? It's just like eating, right? I eat something, I make waste, not to get gross, but then hopefully that gives me energy to produce something. But that waste need not be waste. That waste could be someone else's currency, right? Like in human condition, not to get too philosophical, but like nitrate goes back into the earth from our waste, and it fertilizes the earth. It breaks up the biology on the earth. So you have to be thinking about both your intended consequences and your intended consequences. So like what you meant to do and the parts that you didn't mean to do that are going to maybe happen. Because everything has like an equal and opposite effect. So if you design that today in business, you could create sustainability. And there's room in the marketplace for people. It depends on people's aspirations. Some people are very contented crafting something deeply, making it good. That might yield something small, might yield something large. I think that you shouldn't start the pursuit of saying, I'm building the next $10 billion company. You have to start with saying, I'm going to make like this thing as so good that it will be unbound by, my imagination.
A ceremonial groundbreaking marked the official beginning of new life for the Lincoln Towers. City officials joined with the Wilmington Housing Authority and other guests at the site next to the Delaware Center for Horticulture in Trolley Square. The new Lincoln Towers will be a mixed-use community featuring 88 units for senior housing that rises above the ground floor home of the Wilmington Fire Department's new Station Number 5.
You think of groundbreakings and you look at that as the initiation of the project. But the reality of it is that when I saw the first excavation on the site a few weeks ago, that was it for me. I must say, I've been doing some drive-bys, many. As the hole got larger and larger, my enthusiasm got larger and larger because I said the project had started. And I was so grateful.
I'm just happy. I think that a lot of people are going to be proud of this. I'm glad that the chief and the fire personnel went down to see an innovative project where it was actually incorporated into the building, the fire station. I mean, we came up and talked about this a long time ago, and finally everybody agreed it was a good idea. And if you look at the options that we had as to where another station would go in this area, they were not a whole lot of options. Something probably would have had to be knocked down for a new station to be built, and I think this is a great solution to that particular problem.
The important part of this is the community and the community involvement. And we on council, my colleague Mike Brown was really at the forefront of this with Gerald Brady and Fred. And the important part was to ensure that we had not only community buy-in, but community recommendation, community suggestions, community support. And from jump, this community is very engaged, as most of you know, is very engaged and very involved. And this community was right there at the beginning.
Construction of the towers has been aided by a $10 million grant from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The grant will fund the greening of the new facility with high energy efficiency systems and materials. The design is one of only a handful in the country that combines a firehouse with residential living. Councilmember Hanifa Shabazz helped cut the ribbon at a new restaurant in Wilmington's 4th District. Asnan Sushi Bar and Asian Cuisine recently opened for business at the base of the residences at Christina Landing on the city's riverfront.
we have 3 different sectors of residents here, and this restaurant not only becomes our new eating place, but our own community place. I mean, we get together on weekends, and it's just really nice to have this type of cuisine, hospitality, customer service, and also friendship also too here on the Christina Landing.
The new restaurant offers a wide variety of Asian food, including Japanese and Indonesian delicacies such as sushi and noodle soup. Both dine-in and takeout service is available at Asinine, which is open for lunch and dinner every day except Sunday. The 2011 summer cooling program has begun in Newcastle County, and Wilmington residents may qualify for a free window air conditioner. The units are available to households who meet the requirements of the program, which include not having received a free air conditioner within the previous 3 years. Applications will be accepted Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays through August 31st at Interfaith Community Housing of Delaware. To get more information about the summer cooling program's eligibility requirements, call Interfaith Community Housing at 652-3991. Wilmington's first ever Beer Week will be celebrated July 9th through the 16th. 10 venues in the city will participate in the event, which is dedicated to highlighting restaurants, breweries, and craft beers, including 5 beers made in Delaware. All of the Wilmington Beer Week restaurants will include perfect pairings on their menu that pair entrees or sandwiches with specific beers. Check out www.wilmingtonbeerweek.com for more information on eateries and events. The annual Clifford Brown Jazz Festival is once again held in and around Wilmington's Rodney Square. Thousands of concertgoers descend on the week-long event every year, which honors the life of one of Wilmington's native sons. Clifford Brown was a trumpet player who grew up on Poplar Street. He died in 1956, but his profound influence on jazz music lives on. We'll leave you now with some of the sights and sounds of the festival, featuring the music of 90 Miles and the Avery Sharp Quintet. Thanks for watching.